my name is Christina. I am Whilst Iris Snaps on Instagram and Whilst Iris Snaps Designs, and this is a video about cross stitch. This is video number 15 and it's been a while since my last video. I have no excuses really, other than it's been an incredibly busy time with our home, the children and stitching. I have been working on a couple of exclusives. Exclusives. Obviously can't show those just yet, but I do have some other stitching to share, otherwise this would be a very boring video, wouldn't it? So what else do I have to show you today? I have some stitching from the archives, and they are stitched pieces from my mum this time. I've had a birthday since my last video, so I have my birthday exchange that I did with April, May, June Stitcher to show. I have some other lovely birthday gifts to share. I have some birthday purchases. I had several Peakside needlework vouchers burning a hole in my pocket, so I had to spend those. I have some stitching, some finishes and FFO's. And then I will finish with the giveaway, the figgy pudding chart and threads from my last video. So let's get cracking, shall we? First up, both of these stitched pieces from my mum are unframed but still worth sharing, I think. And this is Snow Days from Mirabilia. My mum stitched this during one of the lockdowns, I forget which, and I can't tell you what the fabric is, I'm afraid. I hope you can make out. It's a lovely pink and it is opalescent, 32 count, but I don't remember where we bought it from. I have a feeling it was an eBay shop. And the beading on this is so pretty. The colours are fabulous. She used the called for DMC. She didn't, however, use the called for Arctic Rays from, is it the Rainbow Gallery? We couldn't figure out how to use this particular thread. It was far too thick to thread through the fabric, even on 32 count. And we wondered if it had to be couched on, and we couldn't really make out from the, what's the chart, from the cover photo where it went. So she just left it off, and I think it looks just as fabulous without. So yes, this is Mirabilia Snow Days. I believe it is discontinued, but there is the chart if you would like to search for it yourself. Next up is a design called Mandolin Mime. I have to be very careful how I say that, it's a bit of a tongue twister for me. And he's taken from the Stony Creek booklet, Magic Moments. There is a bit of a story told, Mandolin Mime. I shouldn't smile, it's not funny really. My mum is a member of the WI, the Women's Institute. And every year they hold a fair whereby you can submit entries to be judged, things that you've made, stitched, knitted, baked, written, etc. There are lots of different categories, and there is a cross stitch category. So Mum decided this particular year she would like to stitch something to enter. There is a design area specification that she carefully noted down. I think you already know where I'm going with this story, don't you? So she had to look through her charts to see if she had anything suitable, and Mandolin Mime fit within that design area specification. So she stitched him up and thoroughly enjoyed doing so, lots of really pretty threads. She even enjoyed using the metallic threads, and she entered him into the competition. She said at the end of the day, on the day of the fair, she went over to the prize area to see if she'd been lucky enough to pick up a prize or a ribbon for her Mandolin Mime, and she saw it had a disqualified sticker on it. It would appear that when she stitched him up, and I'm sure we've all been guilty of this at some stage, she had adapted the design slightly and it ended up being 2 stitches too wide. So it was disqualified. In her words, she came home, chucked him in a cupboard, never to be seen again. But I think he's far too lovely for that, so I've dragged him out of the cupboard to share him with you today. I do think that we should frame it for her. I think it's a talking point, isn't it? And it's been a few years now, we can laugh about it. So yes, as I said, it's from the Stony Creek Magic Moments booklet. There are some quite pretty designs in here, although not so sure about that clown. What do you think? Now to my birthday exchange. For those who have followed me for some time, either on here or on Instagram, you may recall that I participate in 3 exchanges every year with my Stitchy BFF April, who is April May June Stitcher on Instagram and here on FlossTube. We stitch a birthday exchange for one another because we happen to share the same April birthday. I'm a year older. We stitch a Halloween exchange and then a Christmas exchange. And here is what April has stitched for me for our birthday this year. It's a rather fabulous design called Easter Rabbits from a Ukrainian designer called Stitchy Princess Black. And if you haven't already done so, I would highly recommend you check out her Etsy shop. I'll put in the link in the drop down box below. She has some very lovely charts. And April tells me she stitched the design on 40 count Harvest Blush from Sparklies. And the trim is from 20th Century Yarns, and it's quite a lot thinner than the trim that I use from Lady.Creates. I keep on meaning to check out their website. So thank you so much, April. As ever, I absolutely love what you've stitched for me, and it looked really at home in my not adorable doorbell this Easter. I'll pop in a photograph here. And now what I stitched for April. It's a freebie design. I will put the link in the drop down box below, called Happy Spring from the, and I'm going to check my notes, the Snowflower Diaries. I will insist on calling it the Snowflake Diaries. No, Christina, it's the Snowflower Diaries. I adapted the design slightly and finished it into the lid of a glass jar. Filled the jar with lint bunnies and Cadbury mini eggs and told April that they're just for show, she's not allowed to eat them. I was a little bit nervous sending this through the post given the weight and how fragile it is, but it got there in one piece, so thank you so much, Royal Mail. I'll put in a photograph of it here. How many chocolate eggs do we think are left in that jar? Answers on a postcard. So this is the glass jar that I used for April's birthday gift. For those in the UK, this was purchased from Mandolin, was just £8. Although I didn't pay that, I never pay full price for anything. I think I paid around £6 something in the sale. And as you can see, it has the recessed lid that meant finishing the cross stitch into it was nice and easy. And this then led me on a mission to find other jars suitable for cross stitch finishes. This one I discovered in Next. As you can see, the lid isn't as recessed, but I still think I'll be able to finish something into that. There was another taller jar that was white with polka dots on, but it arrived damaged, so I've had to send that back. And then also in Next, this jar with a lovely textured finish. And these are the perfect size for Plum Street Samplers Jack's Sweet Shop range. And I think I'm going to finish Olga's Tart into this one. They do come in other colours, as you can see. April has purchased the pink one, and she said that she's going to finish Wilhelmina into that one from Plum Street Samplers. So if you see any other jars with lovely deep recessed lids like this, please do give me a shout. I don't think I've bought enough yet. Now to birthday gifts. Firstly, from the ever generous Lainey, who is Lainey Main over on Instagram, I received a gift that is both pretty and practical. Lainey stitched a freebie from Lila's studio and then finished it on top of a box. Isn't that lovely? And the lid has the gingham in it too. Can't wait to use this, Lainey. Such pretty colours, very spring-like. And also, Lainey stitched a very sweet ornament. Some of you may recognise that bunny. He's taken from the spring freebies that I released last year. And then on the reverse, a carrot from the other chart. Such a thoughtful gift, Lainey. This really made me smile. And I've just noticed it matches the colours on my jumper perfectly. Then from my lovely friend Michelle, who is Mama Loves You GB on Instagram and FlossTube. Goodness, where to begin? I think I'll show the fabric first. Michelle sent a piece of Fox and Rabbit fabric named Baked Clay. It's a fat quarter, and this is 40 count. The colour's not showing very true, unfortunately, but it's a lovely, dark, rich neutral. I think white thread would show well on this fabric. Quite often it disappears on the lighter fabrics, doesn't it? And then also some grey chenille trim. Michelle knows just how much I love to finish my pillows with chenille trim and my drums. And then this gift has a bit of a backstory. A few months ago now, Michelle and I were having a conversation about my obsession with themed Christmas trees. I already have a Christmas pudding themed tree, and I'm well on my way to owning enough gingerbread ornaments to have a gingerbread themed tree. But I happened to mention to Michelle that I would really love a tree that just has vintage baubles. And obviously Michelle has remembered that conversation and has sent the most incredible vintage glass hand-painted bauble. Isn't it stunning? And so fragile, I can't believe it survived the years. I'll certainly be keeping it away from my 3 children. But yes, absolutely love this, Michelle. Thank you so much. So thoughtful that you remembered. I have managed to purchase several other vintage baubles. These were from my local charity shop of all places and in the original box. And I showed these to my mum and she said, "Oh, your nana had hundreds of those and we got rid of them when she moved home in the 70s. Great. I just hope they went to a really good home. Also in the parcel from Michelle was this huge and heavy spoon. If you watch Michelle on FlossTube, you may recall that Michelle had shared one of these on one of her videos, and having seen it, I got in touch and said, "I love it, where can I get one for myself?" Michelle said she'd purchased it from an antique shop that she often visits and that there had been another one, so she kindly offered to go back and purchase it for me. Thank you so much, Michelle. I had intended to display some needlework around the middle here, but now that it's arrived, I have decided to display my spool samplers on it, and I'll pop a photograph in here to show you. Now, birthday purchases. What did I choose to spend my Peakside needlework vouchers on? Well, mostly fabric as it happens, all for future Reproductions sampler releases. This one is Fibre on a Whim 40 count Affogato. dark neutral. Has some green undertones, not showing up very well. Then from Fox and Rabbit, this is 40 count Saltbush. Again, another nice neutral. And also from Fox and Rabbit, this one is 40 count Flannel Flowers. I do love the splodges on this. I'm sure there's a more technical name for those. But yes, love that one. And then I had to have a fat quarter of Barb's blend from R&R Reproductions. I want to stitch something really special on this one for obvious reasons. And then a single skein of Belle Soie silk. I've been wanting to try this for such a long time, and I chose Chester's Blue and used it almost immediately for an ornament, and I'll show that later on in my video. So yes, vouchers all spent up. Thank you so much to Sue for such super efficient service as always. I do love it when a purple envelope comes through my letterbox. If you know, you know. Finally, to some stitching of my own to share. I have an FFO and several finishes to share. I will show my FFO first because it links quite nicely into another of my finishes. This is a sampler, a freebie sampler from Blackbird Designs, and I stitched it on 32 count granite from Zweigart using classic Colourworks Jakey Brown. And the chenille trim is Mingo from Lady Dot Creates. I have shared this sampler on my FlossTube videos and my Instagram account before, but I've only just managed to make it up into a drum. And it's a sampler that I dedicated to my maternal grandmother, my Nana Ivy Millicent. She hated her middle name. And she was born in 1914. And here's a photograph of my Nana with my granddad Jimmy on my mum and dad's wedding day in 1971. Sadly, I didn't get to know my granddad Jimmy. He died the year before I was born. And as far as grandparents go, I was incredibly blessed to know 3 of my grandparents, 2 nanas and a granddad. They were all utterly wonderful, and all 3 of them played a huge role in my life, and there is not a single day that goes by without me thinking of them. And with that in mind, I thought I can't stitch something for my mum's mum and not then stitch something for my dad's mum and my granddad. I won't leave him out. I have something for him in mind. But here is what I designed and stitched for my paternal grandmother, my dad's mum, my Nana Raffle as we referred to her. And she was Myra Dunn, and she was born in 1922. And I stitched the sampler on 36 count sugar cookie from number 12 Stitch Co, Nicola, who has an Etsy store. And I used my new favourite thread, Weeks Dye Works Sky. It's such a gorgeous shade of blue. And this is the Nana that taught me how to sew. I owe it all to her. And here's a photograph of her with her firstborn, Hilary, my dad's sister. And you can't tell from the photograph because it's black and white, obviously, but my Nana had the most amazing auburn hair and grey eyes. You couldn't mistake them for blue. They were a definite grey, and I've yet to meet anybody else with the same eye colour as her. They were really striking. She had 3 children and 3 grandchildren, 3 granddaughters, and none of us inherited the auburn hair or the grey eyes. Isn't it funny? But yes, I would love to also stitch something for my great grandmothers. I had 4, obviously, Jessie Waddle, Annie Peacock, Mariah Wintle and Harriet Wilson. I would love to design and stitch a sampler for them at some stage in the future. Watch this space. The following two finishes are my woeful attempt to keep up with the 12 in 22 ornament stitch along, a hashtag hosted over on Instagram by Caroling55. I knew I wouldn't get 12 ornaments stitched this year, but I didn't realise that I would fall so behind so early in the game. Never mind. Here is February's ornament. This is a freebie. I do love my freebies, don't I? It's called Little Heart Swirl by Northern Expression Needlework. I will put the link in the drop down box below. And I believe it was a freebie intended for Valentine's and to be stitched in red, but I think it looks just as lovely in blue, though it's not showing up very well here at all. There are some speciality stitches. There are long stitches and a few eyelets, and then of course the beads. I used Mill Hill seed beads and I stitched it on 36 count sugar cookie using Weeks Dye Works Sky, the same combination that I used for my Nana Raffles sampler. Yes, love that one. I'll probably finish it with a beaded edge like so. So that's February's ornament. And then March's ornament. This is from the Gathering series by Luminous Fibre Arts, the very talented Misty. I loved this chart as soon as I saw it and purchased it straight away. And I've stitched this on 40 count water green from Wishelt. Such a gorgeous colour, kind of a bluey, greeny, turquoisey, duck egg bluey colour. Oh, words are so hard today. But yeah, that's a lovely fabric, and I modified the border ever so slightly just to make it a little bit smaller. I don't have the chart to show. I've given the chart to my mum. She's going to stitch it herself, but in a completely different colour. Of course, I will show as soon as she's stitched it. And finally, to finish with the winner of my giveaway from video number 14, which was the figgy pudding chart and threads. I seem to recall that this was my ornament for January. And I asked for those who wanted to enter to use the word pudding in your comment. There were 61 comments, and the random comment picker chose Terry McMillan. Congratulations, Terry. If you could get in touch with me to give me your name and address, and I will get the chart and threads off to you as soon as I can. And there we go. That's it. Another video done and dusted. I've forgotten how much I enjoy filming them, so hopefully it won't be too much longer until video number 16. Watch out for a couple new releases from me in the near future. Until next time, take care. Bye bye.